Hello, and thank you for your interest in using TCMax asset management software to track assets in the security forces sector. In this video, we'll take a look at the scope and scalability of TCMax. We'll look at some key features that make it especially useful for security forces in particular. And finally, we'll take a look at some of the reporting built into TCMax. So without further ado, let's jump right in. TCMax can be used to track all manner of assets, from jackets, boots, and patches, to radios and batteries, to weapons and armor. From sleeping bags to vehicles, TCMax can track it all and provide the usage, quantity, and cost data you need to keep today's warfighter supplied. TCMax can even track training and certification requirements. TCMax can be used standalone, in an enterprise environment, and anything in between. TCMax data can be hosted on-premises or in the cloud, by your IT department, or as a managed service from Soaring Software Solutions. Data is kept separate within your organization by using sites and shops. As an example, each base, wing, or group could be considered its own site. Each site will contain your personnel and several shops. Examples of individual shops, seen here, could be your different armories, supply, and comm. The logical separation of your data into sites and shops makes it easy to find what you're looking for and prevents users from accessing info they shouldn't, all while providing command a single place to look for all of their data, without the need for bothersome data call emails. TCMax can go beyond the day-to-day issue and turn-in of assets. Some key features in TCMax that pair especially well with security forces procedures are as follows. Sometimes a troop will need to have their weapon certifications temporarily or permanently revoked. This can be done with a single barcode scan or button click without disrupting the normal certification or training cycles tracked in TCMax. From the main screen of TCMax, I can bring somebody up whose certification I'm going to suspend.
User.
TCMax will say user, and then I can either hit the F7 key to bring up this window of special functions we can perform, or we can, if we have a barcode printed out, we could just scan the barcode. But if I hit F7, I have this do not arm function set up, and when I click it, it allows me to add a note. So we'll say under investigation for whatever reason, and now that person's certifications have temporarily been revoked. So if I try to issue him a weapon, we'll say he's going to take it to the range.
Location.
And then if I bring up a weapon and try and issue it to him,
user not certified.
TCMax says user's not certified. If I click on the certified user tab, we can see that Richard Letterman is certified, but it's highlighted yellow to indicate that it's been temporarily suspended. Many security forces agencies provide consumable items to their troops. There are often rules to restrict how many of each given item a troop can have over a period of time. From the catalog screen in TCMax, I've got some ammunition brought up, and the consumable checkbox is checked. And the way I have it set up is each person is allowed 1,000 rounds every 365 days. I can restrict it by issue, how it is now, or if I check restrict by consumed, it will only allow you to, it'll limit that 1,000 to how many were actually consumed. So if I issued out 1,000 and they turn 900 of them back in unused, only that 100 goes against it. So I'm going to switch it back to restrict by issue because it's easier to demonstrate. And we'll go back to the main screen in TCMax. And I'll bring Rick up.
User.
And we're going to say he's going to go to the range.
Location. Enter quantity.
And I'm going to issue him 1,000 rounds.
Issue.
Okay, so it issues him 1,000 rounds. And he goes out and fires, and he comes back and he says, hey, I need some more. This could be 6 months from now, as long as it's within that year. When I go to issue him more,
enter quantity.
It'll ask me to enter a quantity, even if I try and say, I just want one more round for this guy.
Attention.
It'll say, hey, the allowed quantity has been exceeded. We're limiting him to 1,000 over 365 days. This guy currently has 1,000. Do I want to override this? And then if I have, if the person logged into TCMax has the ability to override some of these constraints, they could, it's kind of like a supervisor override. So we could choose to do it from here or not. Troops that commonly use weapons inevitably develop favorites. Especially when qualifying for marksmanship, a troop might wish to use the same weapon each time. So in TCMax, if I bring Rick up on the main screen,
User.
Down in the bottom left, we can
Location.
see that there's a little grid that tells me these are the items that Rick prefers if given the chance. So there's a particular rifle and there's a particular pistol that we have set up. So to set that up, we just go to Settings and User Preferred Asset Configuration. And for the person on the screen, we can add and remove items from different shops that this person prefers. So it'll still allow us to issue other stuff to Rick, and it'll allow us to issue these items that Rick prefers to other people. It just gives us the information as we identify the person on the screen. These are the items they'd prefer. It's very common, especially with new arrivals, that a large quantity of assets will need issued to this person. With TCMax's bulk issue feature, we can do this with a single scan. So if I bring somebody up on the main screen,
User.
TCMax says user, we're going to call this their long-term issue.
Location.
And just by entering the one barcode or scanning the one barcode,
Issue.
I'm going to issue all of these items to Mike. So I created this bulk issue called a Combat ID Kit. And when I issue that out to Mike, it issues him one of the thermal tips, 4 shims, 4 IR markers, 1 infrared transmitter, and 1 9-volt battery. So that'll save you a lot of scanning, especially with new troops when you've got a giant pile of clothing and PPE that you need to issue out. You can put that all in a bulk issue and then just zot one barcode and it issues all of the items out to them. Another common requirement when dealing with weapons is to capture the signature of the person that's taking the weapons. So in TCMax, I can bring Rick up on the screen,
User.
and we'll say he's going on patrol again,
Location.
and we're going to issue him the rifle,
Issue.
and I can hit the F6 key, and TCMax is asking, hey, do I want to sign for everything or just the stuff he's recently been issued in the last 2 hours? So if we look at the issued items grid, he's got a bunch of long-term stuff that we had issued him a while ago. And then he also has this rifle that we just issued him. So if I click no, it'll show him just the new stuff that I'll be signing for. Otherwise, it would show everything. So I'll hit no, and TCMax will open up a signature screen, and you need a signature pad to capture the signature, so it's additional hardware. But as I'm signing, or as Rick's signing on this signature pad, we can see it show up on the main screen here. And when they click OK on the pad, it stores that transaction in a PDF file. So if I open up the reports directory where it stores that stuff, we can see this is a signature for an issued item that Rick did. So when I open that, we can see here's the item that he signed for, and here's their signature. TCMax has the ability to identify or verify a person's identity based off of their fingerprints. Right now I've got TCMax set up to verify a person, so if I bring Rick up on the screen by scanning or typing in his ID number, it asks me for his fingerprint. So if I put my non-Rick finger on there,
Attention.
it says, yeah, that's not Rick. So if I bring it back up and then Rick puts his finger on there,
User.
it verifies that that is Rick, and it allows us to continue with the transaction.
Location.
Another thing we can do is, instead of using it for verification, we can use it for identification, so that you don't have to input their ID number. So when we do that, and I clear the screen, I just hit the capture fingerprint button, and then Rick can come up and put his finger on there,
User.
and it'll say, hey, that's Rick, and they'll bring him up on the screen. Tracking troop and visitor movement is another difficult task that's been made easy through the use of TCMax. In the event of a drill or an emergency, it can be chaotic trying to locate everyone. If a building's on fire, did you get everybody out? To know that, you need to know who was in the building in the first place. People often use visitor logs, which are okay until that log gets damaged or lost. Those logs are also very difficult to parse historical information out of. If we use TCMax to track this movement, we would simply go to a TCMax terminal. We don't even need anybody logged in to do this, but I would enter in my ID.
User.
TCMax says user, and then typically I would scan a barcode to say, hey, I'm entering this location or leaving this location. To make it more visibly apparent to you guys, I've created some buttons, so when I hit F7, we can see all of the arrival and departure for the demo locations that I've set up. So if I'm leaving building 1, just click departure building 1, and then that's it. And then that information is in TCMax, which could be globally visible in case this terminal gets damaged in whatever emergency is happening. I could just go to another location, and if building 1's on fire, you don't need to bother looking for me because I've already told TCMax that I've left that building. The largest benefit of using TCMax is that while you're using it, it's writing all your actions down in the background. And capturing all this data is even more valuable when you're able to easily view that information in a way that makes sense to you. This is why we've put so much effort and redundancy into the reporting and customization in TCMax. The item search screen allows us to quickly locate assets in our inventory based on a number of different fields of information. For example, if I wanted to find all the items that I have with a part number of rifle, I type that in and I'm shown all the different rifles that I have put into my inventory. If I hit total items up at the top, it counts them up and tells me I have 7 of them. If I hit total value, it counts up the dollar amount of all these items. The log search screen allows us to dig through our historical records to find specific events we're interested in. As an example, up at the top here, I've got the date range limited to the last month. And if I wanted to find a specific event type, I just find that in the list. I'm going to look up revoked certification. So in the last month, it tells me all the different times that certification's been revoked and who the user was that was on the screen and who was logged into TCMax when it happened, and a bunch more information. With this and most grids in TCMax, we can right-click on them and send to Excel to dump all the information from the grid directly into Excel. The report screen has several canned reports that the users can run at will, including some Air Force specific ones and other branches of the military, to include the Air Force 2005, the Air Force 1473, and the DoD 1348-6 reports. All can be printed through TCMax. The Report Designer screen allows us to import canned reports from TCMax or create them from scratch. For example, this is the 1473 report that TCMax can print. We can open in the Designer also in case we wanted to tweak things to satisfy local regs or something like that. We can also just go to File and create brand new reports with all sorts of different controls to include charting and images and that sort of stuff. You can write the script in C# or in Visual Basic, and there's a script window and a preview window as well to help you. The TCMax Dashboard is designed to be an administrative overview of what's going on with your inventory. Along the right-hand side of the screen, there's a blue bar, and if I left-click on it, it'll expand the dashboard itself. These are all the canned trackers that come with TCMax, so some of them are commonly alerted events happening here, so items that are overdue calibration or expired certifications or expired courses. We can set thresholds for each one of these so that when we pass that threshold, it highlights red to draw our attention to it. We can also left-click on the row itself, say the overdue item calibrations. I can click on that, and it'll actually show me a list of, hey, these are the 10 items we were talking about. So I can close that. To get back to the main screen, we can also, if you right-click on the blue bar rather than left-click on it, it'll open this dashboard in a preview panel so that you can run it alongside of regular TCMax as you're doing your day-to-day stuff. So you can put your important trackers that you care most about on this preview panel and never even have to actually open it. On the next tab, there's the custom status trackers. Now we have a custom tracker builder in TCMax, so we can basically build any custom tracker that you want. And the idea here is that you don't have to go run reports to find all your information. We can bring that data to you without you having to go look for it. So if you want to know, what locations are my people at, or how many springs have I used to service weapons or repair weapons, or how many triggers have we replaced, or how many people have been issued too many jackets, or whatever questions you have, those can be set up as custom trackers so that you don't have to ask them every time and go find that information. It's just brought to you on this custom trackers window. The next window is data visualization, so these are charts and graphs. There's several canned charts and graphs that come with TCMax. There's also a chart designer where you can design your own 3D or 2D charts and graphs, again, based on any of the information that's stored within TCMax. And finally, we have the email setup screen where we can send emails based on any of the events we see here in blue. So if something becomes lost or broken or unserviceable, we can have an email send out. And when I expand unserviceable, we can see there's a place to put an address or distribution group or several addresses. Subject and message, we can limit it to just part numbers or different thresholds of part numbers. If it's been unserviceable and hasn't been returned to service or repaired in X number of days, we can have it send another email out. So there's just a lot of different ways to get emails to send. Another one's reorder. So if we fall below the reorder quantity, we can get an email saying, hey, we need to order more of these springs or whatever. Cal or inspections coming up, we can send that out. Any user-generated reports, we can send out on a calendar. So this is just another way to get the information out of TCMax that it's been generating and collecting through use, and filter it down to what you actually care about and deliver it to you without you having to go look for it. Thanks again for watching. Please visit www.soaringsoftware.com for more information. Or if you have any questions or would like to schedule a web demo, please contact us via email at help@soaringsoftware.com or toll free over the phone at 866-826-0444. Thank you.